Yo! Quick week in review for ya. Last week I caught a film called Uncle Peckerhead. Yes, you heard me right. A film called Uncle Peckerhead. Came out last year about a struggling group of punk musicians, and they are attempting to go off into their very first tour, and they don't have a vehicle to tour in, so they're asking around trying to get somebody to lend them their van and meet up with this homeless guy who lives in his van, and he offers to drive them from town to town and just be their roadie. Uh, but the twist on that is that the roadie, the dude, is actually every night at midnight he turns into a demon and he kills people. So that's a little twist there, and it's basically the story of the band trying to come to terms, either accept or be grossed out by the events that transpire when this dude turns into a monster. And yeah, it leads to good things for the band, and it leads to bad things, and it ends up a little messy at the end. So check that out, Uncle Peckerhead. I gave it a 4 out of 5. Uh, yeah, I imagine this might make my top 13 of 2020 list. I'll be doing probably this week, so stay tuned for that as well. But Uncle Peckerhead, very good. Check it out. Next, I watched another film that came out last year called The Rental on Amazon Prime. This film is about a guy, his girlfriend, and his brother and his girlfriend. They all decide to take a vacation together. They rent a house and for the weekend, and they go up there, and some very interesting drama unfolds. Some very cringy drama, but not bad cringy, like more like reality show cringy, like a cringe that you can't look away from. So that part of the story was very enjoyable, but I just don't feel like it. There's no payoff to it. I gave it a 2.5, true neutral. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I like the drama, like I mentioned, but it switches to a slasher flick at one point of the film, and I felt like it really didn't need that, and like the third act didn't really do justice to like the unfolding story that was told and ultimately was abandoned. So that's why I gave it a 2.5, a true neutral on that one. Could have been better, could have been great, but it was okay. Next up is a film called The Shadow of the Cat from the 60s. This is a film about, it opens up with this old lady uh, who's murdered in the night, and the murder is witnessed by her beloved pet cat. And the murderer, of course, being she lives in a mansion, so she's got some personnel that work there who are responsible for the murder, along with her husband, who's trying to, cash in, get that inheritance or whatever, the the money. And so yeah, it's basically the story of a cat and its quest for revenge, haunting and scaring the people in the house, that sort of thing. And yeah, this one is, I gave it a worth a watch, 3.5 out of 4, 5 rather. It definitely does not stand out as a classic of that time, a classic of the genre, but it is fun. I had a lot of fun watching it. And I do love me some killer cat films, so if you like that, check that one out. It's The Shadow of the Cat. All right, next film that I watched is a film on Shudder called Sword of God, and this is a kind of a Polish dark drama about a priest who washes ashore on this island, and the priest also happens to be a knight, kind of a dual class, like paladin thing going for the RPG players. But he meets up with this other guy, another castaway on the island, and they develop kind of a father-son style of relationship. And on this island, there lives a group of pagans who are kind of primitive. They like live in caves and stuff, and they praise this god of clay, which is abundant on the island. And so obviously one of the castaways there, the priest, being a priest, a Catholic priest, he is started to invest in time in introducing his religion to the pagan people and trying to convert them. And this is actually quite successful. The only problem is that both of the Catholic castaways have differing views on the religion itself, and it kind of forms this split, and it actually splits the tribe. One group following the priest, and the other group following the other dude, who they kind of hail him as like some sort of prophet. And this ultimately culminates into some violence at the end. So very interesting. I gave it a 3.5. It is definitely worth a watch. Not one that I would return to very often. It is very slow paced, and there's not a lot of interesting events going on. It's just more story heavy, and yeah, that's about it. That's all I have to say. The ending was pretty cool, though. Yeah, very, very shocking and dark ending. Check that out on Shudder, Sword of God. And we've got another film from the 60s, a film called The Anatomy of a Psycho. And this one I gave a 1.5 for being a shitty flick. So this film is about a guy who kind of goes crazy after his older brother is sent to the gas chamber after committing a murder. So this main guy in the story thinks that his brother was innocent, so he sets out and attacks people who were involved in his brother's trial, who were involved in sending him, to death row. And yeah, very, very light on the story, and very, very heavy on the overacting. So this is the kind of film that might give you a laugh. At least it's a shitty film, but it will make you laugh at the overacting, and there's some scenes that are kind of noteworthy. You'll remember them for how ridiculous they are. So a lot of people do enjoy that kind of film. If you're a fan of that kind of stuff, check out Anatomy of a Psycho. Not for me, though. I gave it a shitty flick. And last but not least, I caught a short documentary, or like a documentary series on Netflix called Crime Scene: The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel. Obviously a story revolving the disappearance of Elisa Lam at the Cecil Hotel back in 2013, and all the conspiracy theories revolving around that situation, and some of the facts that were brought forward, and interviews with law enforcement and detectives, as well as the internet sleuths and hobby detectives, if you will, who think they know better than the professionals in that field. And yeah, I gave this one a solid documentary. Very interesting, very captivates you and grabs your attention. It was very strange. I remember when that story came out back in the early 2010s, and it was very, that video of Lisa Lam in the elevator, that kind of stuff. It was really it was very captivating, mesmerizing, and I understand why people were kind of obsessed with it. It was very, very strange and bizarre, but this documentary, of course, did help solidify my hatred of the general public and media and stupid people on the internet. But yeah, what can you do? So it's worth a watch, though. Check that out. It is, what is it? Crime Scene: The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel. And that is it for today. What have you guys been watching? Let me know. And if you disagree with some of my ratings, tell me why you liked them, why you hated them. And I'll see you later for my next video. Hopefully a ranking. I was supposed to do one last week. I got busy, or I was lazy, one of the two. And yeah, this week I will be doing, hopefully, the top 13 films of 2020. So we're 3 months into 2021. I was able to catch a lot of those films from 2020. So enough for me to make a top 13 list I'm fairly confident in. Yeah, I'll talk to you then later.